So hello and welcome wherever you are in the world to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's great to be back in our what is a more normal time, I guess, for most people who've been racing regularly. But maybe it's new if you've just joined us over the last 4 weeks. Eid Mubarak if you are celebrating at the moment, because of course it is that time of year as well. My name is Matt Payne. I'm in the studio with Emma Martin. And we just watched an absolute cracker of a women's race.
It was amazing. If you want to watch a women's race and you want to watch a seriously good women's race, today's is the one to watch in all 4 race categories. The racing was spectacular. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the men can do, but obviously no pressure.
Not much, but it's a very different race route and a very different race profile. We were in Wollongong with that central climb for the women's race. For the men's, we are in the Jebel Yais in Arabia. Emma, take us through some details in here.
So 45 kilometres of racing today, 1,041 metres of climbing, and we've got 5 sprints early on. The first one, those coming at 3 kilometres. The first climb, the aquarium climb, at 23.7 kilometres into this race. Just a 3% average gradient, 3.3 kilometres. So long and steady. Then a drop down, and at 31 kilometres, the Jebel Yais starts. It is indeed 13.5 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 6%. It will take us to 500 metres from the checkered flag. It's categorised as a hot category for a specific reason.
Because it's big
and hard.
And it goes on forever. Now, really interesting, this goes because of that long run in through those 5 sprint segments, which will give us a snapshot on how our riders are riding. 4 race categories going off. Category 1 will go last, and then we've got Category 2, Category 3, Category 4 in reverse order. It's 5 minutes between Categories 4 and 3, 10 minutes between 3 and 2, and 5 minutes between 2 and 1. We're doing this long enough now into year number 3. Should know what order we're going in. Here we are, Category 4. Em's already going to have a go at me after the women's show for getting my numbers wrong. Let's run through the teams for you. We've got Level Up Racing, Luke Allport and Ola Warren in there. We've got the Anzacs led by Simon Acker, the Power, Bello, Jeff Rooney and Kalangad in there. Upcycled. Oh, they've got a big squad of 5 riders. The only team with 5 in, Zanaska, Schoberg, Lloyd, Cameron, and Mayad. And the WTBR MyWhoosh Brazil squad, when you've got somebody like Satorio Ramos, you know you're going to start quick. You've got Brito and Vaz in there as well. Going to be interesting to see how all those riders go.
49 riders on the start sheets in Category 4 today. And it was Simon Acker who took the win last week. Will he be on top spot today? It's going to be a very different race. We're in with Brett McMurtry as the green light signifies the go. And away go Category 4. They're off, they're down the road, away they are. And the other categories still sat in the start pens warming up.
Yep, and that is one of the things when you are in there. If you're Category 4, you get to go first. You don't have all those nerves going for the next 20 minutes or so before your Category 1 riders go. Now, if you're new to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, we've got Luke Allport. There is a verb that is very applicable only to this, which is allporting. To do an allport or to allport or allporting is basically to go like an absolute loon off the front, make the racing hard from the word go, although it could equally be applied to creating a GC competition, which may well be called the Allport competition, in honour of Luke doing a lot of the work on that. Instantly followed, though, by his countryman, that is Andrew Neville Ross.
Yeah.
On the way down the straight here, these riders are wise to the allporting action. And that means, as they head off down the straight, the bunch are right on their heels at the moment. We'll tell you a little bit more about that GC a little bit later on. Emma, take us through some of the riders who are in the teams and obviously the huge amount of riders who are there as individuals at the moment.
So, as we said, 49 riders on the start sheets today in Category 4. Neville Ross, McMurtry, Dadson here, Munoz, Valencia, Ochoa, Caro, Marin, Tortoretto, Dromard, Kutab, Cadabona, Mark Dadson here, as well as Cameron Dadson, both of them in the same race. Matteo Pino is here, Montoya, who was 4th last week here, Scott Francis, Sean Driscoll, Stephen Newman. We've seen all of those already in the mix today. It's a strong team. Now, interestingly, last month's final in March, we were on the Jebel Hafit, and it was Goodall from Tortoretto, Kalman, Callangad, and Winfield. The Jebel Yace, a little longer.
It is a little longer. It's a slightly different gradient as well, only 6%. And it's a more steady and consistent climb on the way up into the summit. A quick reminder, when we do get there, 500 meters before the summit, you'll see the polka dot banner for the ascent of the climb. And then you've got that run to the finishing banner. Because it is the gantries will be adorned with a big banner either side, which is to celebrate Eid and Eid Mubarak to everybody out there. And hopefully you're having celebrated it successfully. You're now going to celebrate even more by out and racing. Now, into our category 4 here, Emma. This category 4 race field are packed together. This is, and no disrespect to Luke Allport, the most pedestrian start we've seen from category 4 for a long time.
Well, it's a hard race, this, and it's a long race, and most of it comes towards the latter half of it. Now, Kalman, Callangad, and Allport, who were all 3 of them in the top 5 last time we were here in the January final of 2024. Yes, this is only the second time we have raced this course this year. All on the start sheets today. So looking forward to seeing what they can do and whether they replicate those finish positions.
Well, Mark Dawson, one man who doesn't want to let this get too slow from the gun. And another regular rider attacking from the front, likes it to be tough, wants to wind this up. He certainly doesn't want to just roll in for the first 23 to 24 kilometers. And that is a very risky tactic, and I think that's a really interesting to see that they were more relaxed at the start this time maybe than previously. Will category 3 be as relaxed? Well, they are moving in to start time. Our category 3 riders lined up on the left-hand side of your screen, coming on to the big screen. We're in with Nicole Cansar at the moment. Let's take you through your teams, though. The Italian Espresso fueled, all on quadruple espressos this morning. It's Caligula, Barlow, and Cusimano. The Level Racing squad have strengthened at 5 riders from Australia, Sweden, Finland, Switzerland, and Colombia. That is Kirk Rimbaud, Tuika Besedi, as well as Esteban Perez, respectively. They are your 2 teams, but there is a huge pack of riders with them as well.
There is. This is not the biggest race field today, but it does have 50 riders in it. And there are some phenomenal people in this lineup. Diduch, who took the win last week. Will he do it again?
Let's see if he can do that. It is our category 3 riders ready to go here on qualifier number 2 in April. Away they go underneath that banner. Next time they see a UCI banner will be when they hit the top of the climb, the MyWhoosh and UCI partnership for the years 2024, 25 and 26, bringing you the World Championship, the qualifications. And we're going to be looking forward to bringing you lots of that action as well. The team behind the scenes working hard to make sure everything in place for that. And of course, a number of those riders will be coming from the Sunday Race Club community as well. If they choose to take part, we will see. At the moment, Category 3, make it up for Category 4's maybe a little slower start after Allport and Dadson have been neutralised, because Justin Roy at the moment and Ben Kirk are doing exactly the same thing here. They're now on the attack already. 2 of our very quick kick riders, but will they be there at the end of the race? Emma, take us through some of the details of the riders. It's a huge field. I mean, it's easy to pick out big names like Hassan Al-Ramethri and maybe Tom Gates and Demaya Kassara, but Who for you are the key riders here today?
Henry Yeast is here. He's been going well. So is Jack Staples. Orego, Oviedo, Cridland in the mix. Manuan, Giuliano always puts in a strong performance. So does Gonsolin. New rider on the start sheets, Robin Anderson, triathlete from Sweden. We've already seen him in the mix today, up and pushing on. So that's really good. Kansara as well. Nicol Kansara has been riding very, very strongly this year. And great to see him in the top 5 and even picking up wins as well.
What I want to know is, will Nicol Kansara's prize money be going towards his wedding costs, or will they be going towards a new bike?
Well,
and bike bits.
You can only ask him that question. I know where
subject.
I would probably sit.
Well, you'd be buying bike bits, that's for sure. Right.
Yeah,
well, actually, no, that's
who
not
needs
true.
a cake?
Says yeah, the cake. I went for cake yesterday, and I got to say, massive thank you to everybody who's messaged, like the post that went out on social media at Man Fix Pain, because it was the first time back on the bike for 5 months after managing to headbutt the floor at some 50 kilometers an hour twice. In the space of a few seconds, apparently. I don't remember much of it, but the cake that I didn't get then, I did get, and it was really nice to be out on the bike outdoors and actually putting a ride in, which is great because hopefully by the time we get to go to the UAE next, I might be able to go ride up. I'm not sure the Yebel Yates, maybe the Yebel Hafid. It's a little bit shorter. Not a lot, but every little bit counts. Every little bit, or maybe I'll just be taking part in one of the fantastic rides that they have. So many community rides out there. Really good to see the infrastructure that's in place and the community riding that's going on out there. So really looking forward to that. Now, in our Category 3 race field, remember they set off 10 minutes in front of Category 2. They are really pushing on here. James Mountier, Eric Rimborg is really pushing on here. And I think Godboy is looking to be in. God is really pushing at the moment. Enrico Quadrelli, Dutch. Nobody wants to let this go, though.
But they're going in 1s and 2s across, They're not pulling the pack. They are trying to make an individual crossover to Roy and Kirk, who are 5 seconds down the road. And there's a little bit of panic setting in at the moment because they're not pulling it back.
5 seconds is not enough to panic over.
Well, I don't
know. Not at this stage. Maybe 500 metres to the line.
Stretch on that race field on the bottom left of your screen.
I'm loving the way Emma just pointed at the screen.
I did just point to the screen, but the 2.7 kilometres into this race, the stretch on that category race field at the moment, phenomenal. And it is just being led by that push off the front. They're still 6 seconds away. There's a frantic chase behind and they are not pulling it back. Well, Category 3, always one of our very, very competitive race fields. But Justin Roy and Ben Kirk, they've got the bit between their teeth at the moment. Elos is doing the chasing with Ruiz. Stretting and Kansara are there as well. Still 5 seconds back. And that's because the pace of these front two, more than that of the chase group behind.
Well, we soon get an idea of just how fast they're going because they're going through one of our snapshots on the racing that are our green sprint segments. The riders are going through there. The fastest times being set at the moment by the riders who are chasing rather than the riders who are leading out this category. And that shows that the pressure is on behind to move up through the pack and to get back on. The damage is being done because we are seeing riders being distanced from the main group, and already at this stage on what is a relatively steady start, we're seeing riders come off the back of the group. Now, remember, of course, our riders, the fastest riders through the segments over the duration of the race, that cumulative points total will result in a green skin suit being awarded to our riders in the blue jerseys. So it's not a Category 2 rider who's been teleported in. It is the sprint leader in there. We're just no doubt waiting to see where that's going to be going because, of course, it is live and it can be updated at any time. So somebody could sprint through at the back and put fast time in.
Well, if you are joining us for the first time and looking at this race, Category 4 are away, Category 3 are away. Now, unlike the women's race where there's 5 minutes between every category, in the men's race, there's 5 minutes between Category 4 and Category 3, and we're currently currently watching Mark Dodson push on at the front of Category 4, but there's 10 minutes between Category 3 and Category 2 starting, and then a further 5 minutes back to Category 1. So Category 4 starting 20 minutes before Category 1 take 2. The start pens, well, Mark Dodson pushing on here in Category 4, but the pack are rolling and there's not much of a gap.
I think maybe doing a Dadson is an evolution of doing an all-port. Doing an all-port is from the start, doing a Dadson is to continue it.
Well, that's very true, because Montoya at the moment on our screens, part and parcel of that chasing pack, and that pack are chasing Mark Dodson. And you're right, Matt, I think Dodson is actually, if you think about it, quite well known in the pack for putting an attack in after the start.
Yes, it's not at the start, it's usually after, which is really interesting to see how he's going to play that out, because Mark Dodson, one of our New Zealand riders, I have to say the New Zealand and the Australian riders generally are really aggressive at the start.
Yeah, they are. They are. They're very, very strong as well. And I think the timing works for them. You know, it's the evening in Australia.
They've had all day to warm up, maybe.
They may well have had all day to warm up.
Maybe they just wanted to get over and done with, so they got a bed.
They will be well fueled. Yep. You know, for some of our American riders, for example, it's 4 a.m. in the morning.
Ouch. Not like to say anything, because we regularly do shows at 4 a.m. in the morning. I have once raced what was a 50-mile time trial with a start time of 4:31. I was the first man off.
Were you? I've done it.
I fell asleep.
I was about to say, I've done 24-hour mountain bike races, but then obviously what time do you start? It doesn't really matter. You fell asleep on the bike. How is that possible?
Well, I sort of nodded off because it was so early. It was ridiculously early. There was nothing happening, and I was just like, either that or the marshal hadn't turned up. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt, because I actually went off course on it, which was even more insult to injury.
Well, whilst Matt's telling us about his, I can't think of the word I was going to use. His adventures, I think are the right word, of early starts in the morning. Category 4 were spread out all over the place. Category 3, still a tight bunch, and coming in to what is the second sprint on the road.
So, second sprint on the road for Category 3 on the way down through the descent down here. This is going to be a quick one as they come down here. Should be picking up speed. Bottom left-hand side of your screen, you can see the speed, 52 kilometers an hour, 60k for Esteban Reyes moving up through that pack. And remember, it's the fastest time through, not the first person through that will take top spot. Taylor Gonsolin, one of our regular strong riders. Remember, he put a really good ride in back at the championship, 8-day, 7-stage championship with the $1 million prize fund.
Oh, gosh, that was about this time last year.
It was indeed. And some riders just go better certain times of the year. It's definitely true of particular riders. We'll have to see which of those riders are going to be on form in Category 2. We have our Road Warrior squad, Henrik Oyer, Jonas Bjerhead, and Nicholas van Haren. The T1G squad of Oleg Konchenkov, the ever-present UAE Falcons, Ahmed Al-Tanaji and Zayed Hamdan in there. What Colonels led by Benedetti and Quadrelli. That's Filippo Quadrelli, Daniele Benedetti. And Anders Bengtsson and Robin Daunt going to be leading the wattage wizards out there. Good to see them all back in again. They are but a mere handful of the riders. You might have big hands, maybe 2 handfuls.
You need very big hands for this race, Phil, because there's 55 riders on the start sheets today. There's 10 seconds now till they go. And, well, birthday boy Phil Graves last week took the win on his birthday. So down in the start pen, our Category 2 riders putting the power down on the pedals and leaving the pen out onto the world of Arabia. The Jebel Yace awaits them. They are all out of the start pen. Bjerhead, Kranich, Trojanowski, Gallo, Simeons, all in the mix here. Nick Spratt and Nick Scolari right up at the front as well. The pack is rolling over 40 kilometers an hour in the first 200 meters. Oh, I just love the starts on the boardwalk. Over the water.
It gives a real feeling of speed when you ride it. I know Emma's been on the on MyWhoosh, as have I recently on the boardwalk sections. And when you ride that, Emma, it feels just that bit quicker, doesn't it?
It's lovely.
And I think it almost tricks your mind into thinking you're going faster than you are. You've got to be really attentive. one rider who is on form, Anders Benston.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant to see the Norwegian rider here with us. He has been riding really smart. And I wonder whether we're going to see Bengtsson at the top today.
At the Hafit, so the Ebel Hafit was the March final. Bengtsson finished in 4th place and very, very close. Koisnen took the win. Trojanowski in 2.8 of a second back. Then Barrett, Bengtsson and Spratt 5 seconds back. So he is indeed a man on form. And will today's course suit him? I think the answer could be yes.
Yeah, I do hope so. I think because he's a regular. Love the consistency of some of our riders that are always in with us. People like Marcin Trojanowski in there. You got Jakub Bitko. We've got Mendakowicz in there. Mesik Mendakowicz, Nicholas Spratt. I mean, it's a who's who of regular riders up to the front, but we have some new names in here, and we have riders moving up and down the categories.
We do.
If you haven't watched before, the category definitions, they are not a defined category. So, Emma, can you just explain the difference between the defined category and non-defined category? I mean, I know we've got action on the screen at the moment.
We do.
With those attacks continuing to come, but it might well be that it's a good way to illustrate the differences of riders at the top and the bottom of the category.
Well, defined category. So let's say you are 2.5 watts per kilo for your FTP. You would be assigned your category based on that.
So that would be a defined category.
That would be a defined category.
So it'd be based on your performance, and that would be a fixed delineation
until you progress to, let's say, the border was 3 watts per kilo, and as soon as you hit 3 watts per kilo, you would progress to the next defined category that had a set range.
And that means you could have different sizes of race fields,
yes.
But you would also then probably find that you had the same people winning every week because they'd always be in that same position.
Always the people at the top of that boundary would be dominant, and when you move into that, you would move into the bottom, and you'd obviously have to get fitter and stronger to get to the top. So you would be very likely to have the same people winning each week.
Whereas we have an undefined, it is a variable definition between the two, which gives us the very equal race fields in there. And that then means that what we're finding is that we have riders, different riders. Good to see Carradine, another rider who's right at the top end of this area. He's always sitting there or thereabouts. Olivier Simmons the same. Benson, Squarlari, Kaplinski in there as well. They're the riders who are regularly in here. And Carradine out of the saddle here, really sprinting to get in with this leading group. You can see the danger.
Fast. I mean,
they've
honestly,
gone hard, haven't they?
They have gone hard from the gun category too, and I think this is to do with the size of this race field. 55 riders. They'll be looking at everybody on this start list thinking, this is just huge. Let's go. And you never know the conversations that the riders have beforehand. You know, small groups of riders or teams of riders making a decision about how they want the racing to go and then executing it on the race field.
And a lot of that is done via Discord. So our riders are chatting between each other in their team conversations. Will our category 1 be able to talk the way to the top? Are they going to need to let their legs do the talking as much as possible? We have our incredibly strong, and the squad of the moment, the Coalition Alpha Jaws squad, with Tobert, Vijesin, Kaminsky, and Jones. Paint toasted, Jakobs, Steen, Bjorklund, and Plantero. We've got the Racing Shocks squad. Racing Shock Squad. I'll put my teeth back in. Of Morel and Ritter. Ritter really on form. And of course, the one and only UAE clan team. We have Michael Knudsen returning. We've got SS Pablo Popovic and the one and only Mr. X100. They are the big team. They are the team who have raced this since year dot, and they are the team that everybody wants to beat. But Coalition Alpha Jaw have been handing it out in spades. Who's it going to be? It is qualifier number 2. We are kicking off. It is category 1 underway. It's going to be 45 kilometers, 997 meters of ascent. It's time to go.
It is indeed time to go, and it's Pablo Popovic back with us, taking the lead, and another rider back with us, Ross Fawcett. Welcome back, Ross. It's fantastic to have you returned to the Sunday Race Club. I hope everything is well and you're over the illness that you had. It's superb to see you out on front.
It is really good to see him, although that did sound a little bit like he's been returned to sender. It's like he's returned home. You know, like when you post something.
He has returned home. The Sunday Race Club is his home.
It is good to see him and good to see Ross back with us. Ross, renowned not just for racing incredibly hard, having a great sprint kick on him, but also for taking MyWhoosh and the racing with him wherever he goes in the world. And wherever you are in the world, please do send us your images of you out and racing. We really want to see those pictures. So please do send them, particularly if you're racing on holiday or with work, in a hotel room, on a balcony, in the middle of the mountains.
Buy a camper van.
Buy a camper van. Do let us know. You get in touch. Please do send holiday snaps of you on your bike racing MyWhoosh to @biking_Emma. If you're talking about race tactics, do give me a shout at Matt Fitzpatrick. And just as importantly, if you go onto social media, onto either Emma or mine, there is a link in the bio to our brand new totally unofficial, unauthorized, and unmitigated, possibly an amazing or possibly a great disaster general classification for the month. You can get in touch with us, but you can most importantly get down the links. Now, we saw Malin Bjarhe put in a phenomenal ride in the women's race. Jonas has a lot to live up to here now. You can see Jonas on the right. You can see Malin still warming down on the left. I'm not surprised. She put in
It's a hard ride.
I'm not going to give away where she finished, but let's just say there was plenty of camera time.
Look at the action going on here. Jonas Bjarhe pushing on here, picking up the mantle here. He's got 13. Betty, Spratt and Mendakowicz have got 14 seconds on this chase group. It was fast and furious from the gun in Cat 2, and this is an absolutely crucial part of the race. But Bjarhe with McCarroll pushing on here. This splintered and fractured already within 5.5 kilometers in category 2. I count 1, 2, 3, at least 4 groups on the road.
That's not because she ran out of fingers, honest Gov. So our riders on the way down the straight. Emma, of course, being our statistician, is more than capable of counting into multiple digits, unlike myself, who often struggles with letters, never mind numbers, and particularly the women's show this morning. I was in need of more coffee, so more Italian espresso is required for me. Interesting to see the riders down the road here. Regular attacking riders, Betty, Mendakowicz, Spratt, pushing on, putting the digs in here and breaking the racing up. And one of the things that, for me, always surprises me, when we see a course like this, we're seeing action on what should just be a steady roll into the climbs. Ritter chasing Bjorklund at the moment here. Jones having to respond. Darn. Safzedi, Howeiler having to respond, having to answer attacks on what should be, in theory, if it was to be a really cynical race, a steady roll into the climbs.
Well, what do we always say? Never make an assumption about a parkour.
There's a very famous phrase, which I won't use, but yes, it is another type of donkey, you and me, about assume.
I think you're going to need a little word in the studio. Please be polite.
I didn't use the word. I was using another type of donkey.
Well, anyway, we often look at a race route and we often take a look at where's the action going to happen? Now, this absolutely proving in category 2 that you can get it so wrong.
Category 1 are doing the same, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they are actually, but you have to be able to change your plans and to change your thoughts on the move. And often we see a road captain and that road captain rethinking and replanning what is going to happen in that team because of what other teams and other riders are executing at the time.
I mean, we're watching Mr. X100 here, often regarded as being the road captain for the UAE clan team. You've got in that team, you've got people like the Momentum Master Pavlo Popovic. You've got the man who sees the chase doing so much work. It's somebody like SS. You've got Michael Nussum. We know he's absolutely phenomenal athlete and climber, and so you've got a real mix. We saw Michael Kaminski on the screen. You've got to say, the Coalition Alpha Joe, with Talbot, Virginsky, Kaminski, and Jones, how do you pick a road captain out of them? Because they're all incredibly strong.
I bet someone calls the shots behind the scenes. Now, interestingly enough, Coalition Alpha Joe, Turek not racing this week, who took the win last week. They had first, second, third, and fifth. Coalition Alpha Joe. The other squads have got to work out how to beat them. Well, in the first sprint today, it's Von Haren who has taken the top spot in terms of time, 20 seconds, 0.385 in category 2, and then a number of category 3 riders. So Agudelo Perez in there in second place, 0.3 of a second back. In fact, right the way through, just 1 second separating the times of the top 10 riders.
And very little in terms of yellow jerseys in there, which are our category 1, despite what is an active race, so not consistently as active. Interestingly, behind these riders, it's 8 seconds back to a group that contains people like Knudsen and Vajassin in there. Off the front of this group, we've got Jones, we've got Bjorklund, and we've got Noren, we've got Ritter. They have got the gap at the moment, and they are continuing to push out really, really early. Now, Emma, we've got lots of strong riders in here. People like Yusuf Mercer in here, Rakan Theme and Reno. We've got Nora and Kroll. It is a who's who.
It is a who's who indeed.
But who, given the terrain, who's up there for you? Who's going to be there? And this is a little bit of a loaded question because Daniel Turek, the man who took victory number 1 in qualifier 1, is not going to qualify for the GC because he's not riding today. That means we're going to have a new rider on top. So I'm interested to see who you think is going to be right up at the front because it could be them who goes into the top spot in the general classification.
We've just seen Bjorklund on our screen riding very strongly today. He's up here with these 4 riders. So currently we've got Jones at Noren, Ritter and Bjorklund here. They are 13 seconds clear of the chasing group behind. Now, Ollie Jones, last time we were on this, I'm going to start again. We've only been on this course once previously this year.
Which is incredible. I actually struggled to believe that.
And that was in January. Now, in January, we saw on this course Ollie Jones do a breakaway.
Ollie Jones currently sitting 3rd on GC.
Well, he did. He took a breakaway away on this course in the January final. And the pack, if you can remember that far back, were chasing and chasing and chasing, and they were getting closer and closer and closer. But they never caught him. He won by 6 seconds. A sprint behind between Vujassin, Popovic and Osborne. 6 seconds back, Safrazadi in 5th place. So only once this year and back in January, Jones on that form. And I think that's when he really started to come into his form. And I think if these 4 riders stay away, and they're now 20 seconds clear, pretty much Jones now has company for a very long breakaway. And let's be realistic, in the men's peloton recently on the road across the classics, we've seen some very long breakaways by individual riders.
We have. I mean, we saw the amazing UAE breakaway from Tadej Pogacar in the men's
80K?
field. 80K, 60K from Matthew Van der Poel. Previously, I've got to say, a massive well done. Another rider who has MyWhoosh on his shorts because it is the UAE Team Emirates rider, Pavel Sivakov. Sivakov took the final stage win in the Giro Abruzzo, and that was yesterday. So fantastic riding by him. There's lots going on across lots of different disciplines in sport, all of which, of course, remember, are supported by MyWhoosh, so looking after and putting on events, and lots of community events as well, supported by the team at MyWhoosh, who put their money where their mouth is, as well as not just our prizes. At the moment, the man who's going to have to put his legs where his mouth is Michael Knudsen and 9 of Vajassin. They need to get across.
They've gone they've utilised the sprint section, and they just kept going. So the second sprint, the Silent June sprint, Von Haren takes it again. 18 seconds this time. Very, very close. But Bart Van Eyck, Eekhout Morris, Ritter, Jakob Bjorklund, Johan Noren. Then Category 2 rider Olivier Simmons, Ollie Jones in Cat 1, Francis Pino in Cat 2, Taylor Gonsolin, who we were talking about earlier on in Cat 3, putting in a really strong time. Sergio Hoyas rounding out the top 10 from Cat 2. But, well, it's all about what's going on in this Category 1 race at the moment. We've got 4 riders clear. They're 15 seconds on the chasing group, and Mikhail Kaminsky has now decided he's taking up the mantle and 10.3 watts per kilo. This is a sprint effort to get over to the chase group. Now, the chase group contains his teammate Ollie Jones, who we know is on good form.
We do, but he's doing this the hard way.
Yeah.
Doing this the hard way. He's going across solo. He doesn't want to bring anybody else across, but the problem he's got is that he could just do that. And then if you do that, what are you going to do? Now, we got Safrazetti's responding to this. You can see with Jasin, Jakobs, Knudsen, Kroll, Darn are there. But Kaminsky's kind of caught in no man's land. That is this is the better way to go. Bring 4 or 5 people. Bring strength in depth across and come back.
I think if we start to see numbers coming across, Kaminsky's going to sit up, because why would you drag a big, great pack like this towards your teammate?
Who we know can win on this course, but equally, if he had got across, that would have been great. He'd have joined them. That would have been fantastic if Justin's gone across. But there are too many strong riders who can respond to this. There's too many strong riders who can get there. And because this is that sort of gradual ascent up at the moment, it's not massive, but it's enough to be a drag. It's almost the biggest uncategorized climb. And it's not a climb. It's just rises up repeatedly into bumps, but it's enough now. Kaminsky looks like he's just about going to make touch here the hard way, but what has that cost him? How much energy has he used to do this, given that behind you can see that chase group?
Well, the question is, will that chase group continue to chase?
Yeah,
will they have
surely.
But will they have the motivation that Kaminsky has had to get across? Ollie Jones, part and parcel of that leading group. As Kaminsky, his teammate, joins it, it now becomes 5. So we've now got 2 Coalition Alpha Jaw riders. We've got Bjorklund in here. He's a pain-toasted rider. Noren is in here. And Ritter. So this is going to be interesting. But, well, other than Bjorklund and Ritter, there is no one else other than Jones and Kaminsky, who are both part of the same team. And take a look at this. Jones is now attacking. So his teammate has made contact. Now he attacks off the front because they just don't want anybody else with them. They can't.
Or are they just making everybody hurt? Or are they going to drive in? Because one of the things they're doing here, by driving now, by pushing now, they're going to carry a lot of momentum into this downhill.
But also, they're doing danger here, Matt, because Kaminsky is the rider off the back. He's just put in a phenomenal effort to make the gap across, and now he's in danger.
But they're going to be talking to each other. Surely he's going to go. Yeah, I know. Maybe they've fallen out. Has Coalition Alpha Jaw had a bit of a fracture? Are they less coalition and more angsty Alpha Jaw?
An Alpha Jaw is a biscuit.
Is an Alpha Jaw a biscuit?
It is.
How did I not know that?
You see?
I mean, I told you about Garibaldi, the man who unified unified Italy in the women's race. Garibaldi biscuits.
My nan used to call those dead flies.
Really?
Dead fly biscuits is what she used to call them.
No, they're very nice. I like them.
Yeah, well, I didn't say they weren't very
Anybody
nice.
who wants to sponsor me with Garibaldi biscuits, please feel free. Get in touch at biking _Emma.
Well, Lionel Vujassin there looking absolutely a picture of focus in this race at the moment, because it has been all go from the gun. 9.8 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race. And this Category 1 race has fractured. We've got we had 4 riders clear. Kaminsky made the transition and pushed through, but now Kaminsky caught by the group. Ollie Jones attacked once his teammate Kaminsky made the back of the leading group of 4 to make it 5. That attack has broken Kaminsky. Kaminsky now back in with the main pack. Interesting psychologically. Does that mean that other riders will now think there's no reason to attack and catch the group because they won't be able to stay with them?
Or are you just overthinking it?
I don't know.
I don't. We will find out. I don't think so. I think for me that's one of the great things about esports. We get to see so much action across categories in the race. We can jump in on board. We get so much data coming in. You can see that Nicholas van Haren averaged 743 watts, which is 8.6 watts per kilo to do a 20.279 second time in the Liwa Desert Sprint. Ahead of Pino, you see that Ritter, Bjorklund and co there in Category 1 came across the gap. Emma, they're
moving quicker, a lot quicker than the chase group.
They're shifting, aren't they? And this means it's played into the hands of those riders away. Now, Tim Connell in the Category 4 group of the leaders going on to the climb here, Emma. They've just literally come through and hit this climb here. It's not that long after the Berge Shalar sprint. However, you come into this aquarium climb, and if you are got something, if you have nothing in reserve, you used it in the sprint, you could be in trouble here. Category 4 haven't done that. They're on the way up, but they do contain Ola Warren, the man who is sprint leader in that green skin suit.
Yeah, he is indeed in the mix down there. About 16 riders on my count down there in that leading group in Category 4, 24 kilometres into this race. 152 metres of climbing done so far, shy of 1,000 metres. So a huge amount of climbing still to go, around 850 metres. A lot of that coming towards the end, because 760 of that is in the final climb. So this small climb now, I say small, it is 3.3 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 3%. So a steady climb for our Category 4 leading group. Back to Category 1. Well, I can see 3 groups of riders on the road at the moment. Look at Michael Pantero. That is some effort for the first 12 kilometres of this race. He's tucked into the group we can see on the road going over the bridge in front of us, but that is not the leading group on the road. That's not even the chase group. So taking a look at that, we've got Ritter. Oh, this is interesting. So Ritter, it looks as though, has been dropped from the leading group. So Kaminsky's been brought back in. Ritter is the rider in no man's land, which means Jones, Bjorkland are the riders out front.
Well, I'm really interested. France, according to that, is 12 degrees C and 4.3 mile per hour, where Michael Plantero is.
That's not the temperature where we are.
We are in, we may be a little bit further south in France than Michael is, because where we are, I have to say, it's 27 degrees and it's blazing sunshine. If he was down here, he'd be sweating even more. Don't forget, of course, we go out around the world. We have a massive mix of nations here. We span multiple continents. It's not a Eurocentric. It's not an American-centric. This is MyWhoosh. This is around the globe with riders racing from Colombia in South America through to Canada in North America, through all the way to places like Sweden, in Europe, to Australia and New Zealand, in Australasia. We have riders from Iran. We have riders from all over the globe coming to race. They've got to stay with the rider at the moment. Mr. X100, he's having to catch this group back. He's having a tough day today.
He's been time trialing his way back onto this group as nobody but Mr. X100 can. He was part and parcel of the damage in relation to the early attacks, but he is a consummate time trialer, and we know he uses that effort to close a gap down and to come back onto the group. So X100 back into the mix. He's back into the group now, rolling through the front of the group. Kaminsky back in the group. Ritter back in the group now as well. The leaders in the Category 1 race, we've got Ollie Jones, we've got Jakob Bjorkland, and I'm looking at the list at the moment. It's Johan Noren who is up there with them. So 3 strong climbers, 28 seconds clear. This is going the way the final did in January, a breakaway, really creating chaos in the Category 1 race.
And don't forget, if you want to watch back any of the races that we've had so far, from the championships through to our finals and our individual qualifiers, then please do make sure you have a look through the archives on MyWhoosh. The team bringing some amazing races. It's always good to have a look back as well. And as I said earlier in the show, we're into year number 3 now of bringing you the action and putting words to the action here. Myself and Emma Martin having a great time actually watching the racing as they make the way in and through. So really, really, really good to see how good these riders are moving. I think for me, it's going to be an interesting move as these riders go through the sprint, because we have got a real mix of riders. Every single category represented in our top 9.
It's brilliant, isn't it? So Pinot taking the fastest time, 21.573 seconds. Over a second clear of Bart van den Eekhout in 2, Taylor Gonzalez in the Category 3 rider in 3. In 5th place, our first place Category 4 rider, Frederick Schoberg, 23.243 seconds. So a big mix of riders coming through the Heritage Village Sprint, all setting fabulous times across all 4 categories. Well, we're dropping in with Category 4, and they're on the climb out of the aquarium at the moment, coming towards the last 400 metres, so getting towards the top, and it's Simon Acker who is pushing on. So we know 16 riders went into the bottom of this climb together. It looks as though we've lost a rider on the way. We've got a rider there on the bottom left, just off the back of this group. But the push is on here from Acker. Now, 3 to 4 seconds clear of the group, but it's such a big group. Once we get over the other side, I'm imagining this is all going to come back together.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. What's that supposed to mean?
Well, it's kind of like I agree, but I don't. So,
okay.
And the reason I'm saying that is it will come back together, but not all come back together. Because I think what we're going to find is we've got riders off the back. This battle here in Category 4, really intriguing. You've got Simon Acker and Jenny Abello in here. They were 1 and 2 last week. They were separated by 0.225 of a second, which means it's wide open. When you put in this week's results, I don't think when we get to the top of the Yellow Yates, we're going to be talking fractions of a second. And that means that today's ride on the Sunday Race Club and qualifier number 2, in terms of a general classification, is going to be really decisive, because big time gaps means big lead in that GC competition. And at the moment, they're the 2 riders who can profit the most. Acker clearly on form. Good to see Abella right in the mix as well. But they need to make sure, because remember, this is an unofficial GC. The key competition is taking the win here in our qualifiers, and of course taking the win in our finals when that team composition comes into play as well.
Well, can I just say, I've literally just gone back to the results of the January final with the Yebel Yace. Whilst we were talking about it being a Jones breakaway in Cat 1, in Category 3, you could have thrown a blanket over the top 14 riders. 16 seconds separated the top 14 riders in Category 3 in the January final on this course.
And that is next to nothing.
I know.
Next to nothing. And you'd think at the end of such a long climb that you wouldn't be there at that point. Fantastic racing coming up. Fantastic racing already. Now, you can see Category 4 on the way down into the tunnels on that descent coming off the aquarium climb, currently at what is 28.7 kilometres now, 28.8 kilometres covered. Behind them, 3K behind Peter Connell in the leading group here in Category 3. At 20 kilometres covered, the leaders in Category 2, that big pack of riders together. And then Category 1, it's no big pack. It is a 40 or so second lead that is being taken away at the moment. And in that lead in the group, you've got Johan Noren, Jakob Björklund, and Ollie Jones. They are absolutely mullering it.
Well, and they're also class climbers. So a 40-second gap is going to be really hard to bring back, and it's going to be interesting to see who tries. With Jones in there, will the Coalition Alpha Jaw squad pick up the pace and try and make the catch? Will they manage the pace to ensure that no one does get the catch? It's going to be really interesting to see. Well, Mendakowicz is, Mendakowicz is the rider on the front here in Category 2. Carsten Mayer in 2, pushing on the entire pack coming back together. That is a huge group at 20.6 kilometres into this race. They will shortly be coming up to the aquarium climb at 23.7 kilometres. I think that's when we might start to see a split in this huge group.
I can't help but think you're right. I mean, it can't stay together like that for much longer. Don't look so surprised. I agree with you. I don't know. I do agree. I think it cannot stay together. It is going to explode. Now, really interesting that after chasing on, Mr. X100 has not taken a rest here. He's clearly, maybe he just didn't warm up this morning. Maybe his alarm clock didn't go off when he got out of bed, because he's jumped out. Well, no,
It's lunch. Well, it's after lunch there.
I don't know. He might have been up late. I don't know everybody's time schedules. Not everybody shares their schedules with us. What's really interesting to see, he came through and he's now leading the charge to bring this group back up together. Now, he's got Pablo Popovic in this group. He's got back on. I don't think he's maybe on the form that's going to see him in contention at the top. What I think he's doing, a bit of non-exact mind reading going on, is he is doing that road captain's role and he's bringing himself to the fore. And because of that, by bringing himself to the fore, he is now chasing the group down for Pablo Popovic, who we know can climb the Jebel Yace well. Pablo Popovic, we've seen him on the Jebel Hafid. He has the momentum dialed at the top for the tricky finish bit that is at the top of the Hafid and not at the Yace. But he also has to be in it at that stage to win it. So he's got to climb well, and we see that time and time again.
Well, we do indeed, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether we see that again today. But I'm really surprised about the gap those riders have got at the front of this race. It's going to be so interesting to see in Category 1. Now, at the front of the Category 2 race, Ola Warren is out leading the charge. Mark Dadson, Andrew Neville-Ross, Simon Acker, all in the front of that group, but it's not looking as though that group is particularly split at the moment, but it very shortly may be, because at 31 kilometres, they are the first group out of the start pen, and they are the first group of riders onto the Jebel Yace today. They've gone under the polka dot banner, signifying the start of the climb, and take a look at that. Newman has gone for a flyer up the mountain.
So Stephen Newman leading the riders up there at the moment. Warren in that green skin suit of sprint winner, because there are no more sprints now for Category 4, except potentially sprinting onto the heels of anybody on the attack like Stephen Newman. Newman at the moment has opened the gap, and he clearly has a game plan. He knows how long this climb is. He knows how much ascent is in this climb, and he knows what he's got in front of him, and he's setting out his stall. Now, one of the real key tactics we see time and time again, get the gap, then all you need to do is hold it. Whereas if you are in the chase group, you've got to keep on chasing for longer. Big move there. Potentially could be a race-winning move by Newman. We'll come back to our riders in Category 4 shortly. We're in with Category 1. We are in with our chasing group. And I want to be careful that chasing is not a misnomer at the moment.
They're nearly a minute behind.
I know. Soon, I mean, they're so far behind, they need a telescope or binoculars to see the riders in front.
Oh, I don't know about that. They might need to live link via satellite, Matt, because it's...
Well, yeah.
It is becoming a huge gap on the road in Category 1. This early attack really starting to pay dividends at the moment, because now a minute behind is this group. Kroll at the front, Van Elst, Holweiler all in there, but Jones and Bjorklund, who are part and parcel of that leading group in Category 1, part and parcel of the top 10 fastest times through the sprint. Von Haren at the top again. He's been adamant today with the power in his legs that he wants to push on those pedals for the sprint. Pino into a Category 2 compatriot. Gakes, Bristolin and Gonsolin from Category 3. Jones and Bjorklund from Category 1. Then Mendakowicz and Kranich in the mix, all finishing out that top 9. In fact, Carsten Mayer, the Category 2 rider, rounding out the top 10.
And good to see Igor Bristolin of Category 3 in there from Brazil, making his way into that top 10 there. Some amazing action from the UCI mountain bike XCC yesterday. We're not going to give you any spoilers, but great to see Enrique Avancini, a rider who I've seen in action, put words to the action too, in the mountain bike, behind the mic, and giving us some insight into some exciting racing. Do have a watch. One of the many disciplines covered by the UCI, and going to be really interesting to see how that plays out a little bit later on today. You've got the XCO. We actually have the World Cup XCE coming up, but
we do
relatively shortly. That's
20th of April, next Saturday.
Saturday.
So if you are doing a leg opener session for the Sunday Race Club on Saturday next week, tune in. We will be broadcasting the XCE, which will be coming to you from the historic city centre of Paris, and you'll be amazed at where the course is going. I know I was when I took a look, but I'm going to leave that for you to find out.
Yeah, you can watch that on the City Mountain Bike YouTube channel. Be myself and Emma are covering that. One of the many UCI disciplines that we get to put words to the action to. And of course, MyWhoosh, the UCI esports partner for 2024, 25, and 26.
Well, I'm going to give a little spoiler.
Go on.
Because as a tourist to Paris, like many tourists, I have sat in a position on what will be the XCE course next Saturday and taken in the view of Paris.
Okay, so that's a potential clue rather than a spoiler. If you've worked it out, let Emma know. It's at Biking Emma. Don't forget, you can find links to everything on at Biking Emma and at Matt Fix Pen. Make sure you follow at MyWhoosh on Facebook, on Instagram, and my_whoosh on X. Do get in touch. Robin Anderson,
triathlete.
The rider that Emma has been checking out to make sure she knows exactly who's in this race field. Now, you say he's a triathlete, Emma. Are we talking like me swimming like a brick, or are we talking a top flight international triathlete who can swim like a fish?
Oh, goodness me, that's quite funny.
Why do I swim like a brick?
Well, no. So So Robin Anderson, obviously from Sweden, triathlete. Let's have a look. I've got some 2023 results. He was 15th in the Swedish Triathlon National Championships, and 20th in the Sprint Nationals. So interesting. 1 hour and 4 minutes was his time in 2023 for the Sprint Triathlon to put him 20th in the Swedish Championships. So a strong rider, I imagine, on the bike, as well as a strong swimmer and runner.
Yep, going to be able to do all three. You can't have any weaknesses, really, realistically, in modern triathlon.
No, you can't. That's very true.
Commentate on that, and you can't afford it. It's no good being like me. I can run okay, I can ride okay, I can swim like a brick, and therefore I'm absolutely useless at triathlon. Now, let's have a look at our riders in Category 1. They may be underwater, but they are riding rather than swimming. Simon Walter in this big pack, making the way up onto this climb. They are on the ascent at the moment of the aquarium climb. This will top out at 27 kilometers covered, so we have about 1k to the summit of this climb. They are in front of Category 1, who are on the left-hand side of your screen, and they are about to enter the aquarium climb. This is the chase group. There is no way on this earth that the leaders have been caught back unless they literally put the brakes on and stopped in the time we've been away from Category 1. But look at this. The
Our
pace is coming up.
production team are struggling to even find them. They're so far down the road. As we see Kroll et al. Kaminsky is there leading the way up and on to the climb. I can take a look on the left-hand side of the screen. Take a look at where they are.
They're up the road, round the left-hand bend and on the climb, making their way around. I'm not sure our production team struggle with very much. They are like octopi.
Well, I was inferring how far ahead they were.
Let's give you a little insight behind the scenes here. So we sit in a commentary booth. We've got about 7-8 screens for us. The team who put together the images, they are looking at a lot more than 7. I can't remember how many it is. I think it's about 20-something that they're looking at. And they are juggling the action from all of the different race screens. I've got to say, we put words to the action, but we are like the cherry on top of the cake. They produce the cake. They're the bakers who make it happen. A big thank you to the team behind the scenes, without whom we wouldn't have the action to put the words to. So a big thank you to them for bringing us the action across all of our race categories. And quite honestly, I don't know how they do it. Like I said, they must have about 8 arms and about 44 fingers each to be able to get across them. Either that or they just move at the speed of lightning. They're moving probably as fast as Ollie Jones is on this race climb.
Yeah, so Jones and Noren absolutely motoring at the moment. 2 very, very strong climbers. Ollie Jones and Johan Noren, a 2-man breakaway here. They are, I've been looking at this count, over a minute ahead, around 800 meters clear of the chase group you can see on the left-hand side. And that chase group on the left-hand side containing a large number of Category 1 riders. Carlos Ospina is in there. Ricardo Panizza is in there. Maurice Ritter, who was in the lead group, now back safely in the bunch. Michael Planchero is in there. Van Elst, Safrazadi, all these riders are in the chase group and coming up onto what are Category 2 riders. So they will be going past the Category 2 riders, but they have over a minute or 800 metres to catch the leaders, Jones and Norrin.
I think the big problem here, what is causing the problem is we're seeing attack and then pull back, attack, pull back. There's more downtime than there is attack time from the chasing group. So they're spending more time not chasing than they are chasing. And the problem is that these riders are being careful because they know they've got the big climb in front. What's going to be really interesting, when we get to the top of the climb here, Emma, they came in with 1 minute, yeah?
Yes.
Now, they came in with 1 minute. What are they going to have when they come up over the top of the climb? What are they going to have when they come over the summit and then head down into the descent? Because got to remember, the top of this climb is at 27 kilometers. It's only 4K to the base of the Jebel Hafit from there, and it is pretty much 50-50 between downhill and flat. So there is not far to go. You've got to be in there. And I think now, finally, the front of this group are deciding, well, we're going to get the pressure on. But I don't think this is a chase as much as these riders riding their own race and pace. And that then is going to result in it. Look how cool, calm and collected Christoph Kroll is here.
Do you know he's going to turn to you in a minute and go, you think I'm cool, calm and collected?
He is.
Thank you very much. I know it's a very, very steady pace being set there and a steady momentum, very focused. His heart rate is at 179, 178 is mixing around in the match. You can see the sun streaming in to where he is training. But I think they're all sat now thinking we've got a 13.5 kilometre climb. It's got an average gradient of 6%. We've got to get over the aquarium climb first, and then we need to be ready to race. Because whilst we've got riders clear at the front, not all positions will be taken up by that lead group. Some of the top 5 riders will come from this chase group today.
They will, and I think the actions here of the Coalition Alpha Jaw riders and the teammates of those lead riders are going to be really interesting. We're seeing here Vujassim mark out the moves of those riders in front. He's not leading that chase by any stretch of the imagination. It's still 1 minute, the time gap in Category 1 between the race lead in Category 1 and the chasers behind there on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, we have our leaders on to the climb. We have a real mix of riders. So these are the leaders in Category 3. David Goodall, Peter Connell in there. We've got Sam Tuoni in there, Alessio Caigula. It's a really big group of riders. Giuliano pushing on at the front. They are picking up riders in Category 4 as well. They're coming into the mix. Rimborg is in here. We have got Paul Garin in here. Tortoretto, Category 4, also jumping into the group. This is really, really going to get spicy because it's a big group. They're at 33.9. Yeah. There's still 11K to go to the finish. It's a long, long way. Now, over the top of the climb, Ollie Jones already over the top into the descent with Johan and Norrin. They've gone clear, and this is the chasing group behind. They have gone up here quicker. Now, we know that because we can see the polka dot jersey in this group. That polka dot jersey and skin suit awarded to the fastest rider up there, and that is Stefan Van Elst. So Van Elst goes over the top. His time, 5 minutes, 29 seconds, 0.0054, the 3.3 kilometers that take you up this climb, a total of 94 meters of ascending. Now, when we look down there, the riders that we don't see are our leading riders. Emma, how far down through the entire race field do we have to go to find them?
So the leading riders in this Category 1 race in the breakaway, currently around 21st, 22nd in the aquarium climb leader table based on time.
Okay, now a little bit further back behind this chasing group, we just see Mr. X100. He's trying to continue to push, and you can just see on your screen, so Jakob Björklund dispatched from that lead group back could well be an issue on the way through. If you are out in Paris-Roubaix, number of riders having masses of issues in Paris-Roubaix last week. An incredible race. If you haven't watched it, part of the UCI World Top, please do. Really, really interesting racing, but make sure that you watch it at a time. Maybe when you're going to go put some base miles on MyWhoosh, go sit there. Once upon a time, there you go, another dodgy Matt story. Used to sit in a bike shop, which was really, really quiet. I mean, it was so quiet. I used to sit and watch tour stages in between. We literally had no work to do, nothing to do. We'd vacuumed 16 times. I dusted all the bike frames down. I used to sit there on my rollers and watch the Tour de France. So if you're doing something similar, jump on board, watch the Paris-Roubaix. Amazing racing. Or watch any of the classics that we've had. My favourite classic, Amstel Gold today.
Well, it is indeed. Well. And I don't know whether Phil Graves is going to be watching it, putting his feet up afterwards, because he is attacking on the front of the Category 2 race, currently 31.8 kilometres into this race. He's now on the Jebel Yace. He's pushing on in Category 2. He's got the polka dot jersey, indicating he was the fastest Category 2 rider up the Aquarium climb. So we have the two riders, well, the two categories on our screen. Category 1 on the left, Jones and Norrin, the two riders leading that race. Phil Graves on the right-hand side of your screen, leading the Category 2 race. Just 800 metres now separating the leaders of those two categories.
And Phil Graves leading the unofficial general classification standings at the end of the first qualifier by 2.79 seconds from Betty, 12.5 seconds to Krasnich and Milostic. So Graves needs to continue to push. He will want to extend his lead in those unofficial standings. If you want to get to them, the link is in the bio, both in mine and Emma's on social media, at biking_Emma and at Matt Fixpain, to have a look. Keep in touch, see where you are racing, wherever you are in this race field, whether you're at the front, the back, the middle, if you're 10 miles off the back like I would be, then do please have a little look at it. Give us a follow. We'll be updating it, and the links to that spreadsheet are on there, so you can have a look and see where you are in the race category. These two need no telling where they are. They're at the front of the race, and they're about to hit the climb, because that is the polka dot banner here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's the start of our final climb.
And it's Johan Norrin with the blue socks, who, I was going to say goes under the banner first, but he doesn't. He goes under the banner second, because Ollie Jones in the blue cap goes under the banner first and kicks Johan Norrin in the blue socks. Ollie Jones in the blue hat. Really good way to identify the two riders. Norrin with the red hair as well. Really distinctive in terms of picking him out in the peloton.
Got to say a massive thank you to Ollie Jones. Always wears a blue cap on his avatar. You can see got the sweatband on in the pain cave at the moment as he pushes up here, looking like he really has got the bit between his teeth. He's tapping out that rhythm. You can see the cadence. 83, now 88, now 98. I tell you something, he really is squeezing on. A bit further back, his teammate, Lionel with Justin, that is proper teammate tactics. He's just waiting. He's letting everybody else do the work. And if he gets to the front, he just eases off.
Well, exactly. So the team really working well together. Now at 31 kilometres, our Category 1 chasing group have just got under the banner for the Jebel Yace start. Take a look at the riders on that mountain up ahead of them. It's a long, long way to the top. In fact, it's 14 kilometres till they see the finish flag. And that's 14 kilometres with 114 riders to pick off on the way.
Wow. I don't think they're going to make all 114.
Ooh, there's a challenge.
I just don't think so.
Well, Vijaysin...
I just don't think. I tell you why I don't think so. Because they haven't moved quick enough so far. I think they've left too much work to do. There are days when they get everybody back, but today, that's going to be incredible if they can do it. Really interested to see. Pablo Popovic has been really quiet in here. So has Say Safazedi in here. Michael Kaminsky. The riders who've been quiet, who've not been doing the effort so far, this is where you need to watch out for. So it's not the people who've been dragging it back. It's the people who've been doing the work. I'll tell you somebody who really has been doing the work, Mr. X100. I mean, yet again, he comes on to the climb. He really has been an absolute star today, bringing this group, keeping them in touch. but now starting to pay the price, I think.
Yeah, well, Van Elst, Holweiler also starting to pay the price, not able to stay with the moves on the group now they're on the climb. Those two are the first ones out of the back of the group. And interesting, Van Elst in the polka dot jersey, indicating the fastest time up the aquarium climb. He's going to lose that polka dot jersey, I think, by the end here. But X100 goes past him, and he does try to dig. Take a look at that. Van Elst is digging, trying to stay with X100. Holweiler is there as well, and I think he will too. Now, X100 will set a tempo.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking the riders are going to you would jump in, wouldn't you? You see Mr. X100 coming up, and you know that if you want to get up there at the fastest and most efficient pace, you jump in on the wheels of Mr. X100. If you don't want to set that pace, I'm absolutely rubbish at sitting at a pace. I jump up and down, I spring, I try and kick. If I wanted to get back most efficiently, I would need to be on the wheel and then use a rider like that, like Mr. X100, to sit behind to pace me up there every time, because that is the way it works, and then try and jump them at the finish. But by then I'm probably get blown out. But that is surely the tactic. Jump on board. You see that the riders coming through. You don't have that same effect in this group because this leading chase group, the leading chasers, are not sitting at a steady pace. They are yo-yoing up and down as people attack. I mean, Carl Spina here, just on the back of this group, is going to get onto the bunch, but they keep on jumping in pace. It keeps on going up. We've seen 6, 7, 8 watts per kilo. It goes down to 3, 4. They're not yet sitting at a pace that is going to bring them back to our race leaders.
No, and well, with teammates in this group of Joneses, why would they want the group to come back? What they would need to do, and what I think they're going to I think what they're going to probably try and do is try and manage and control the pace for long enough to ensure that Jones and Noren get the 1-2. But then they are close enough and that they have controlled the bunch, and then they can attack at the latter stages so that they know that there's a gap to Jones and Noren, but they still ensure themselves a 3rd, 4th place. If they can manage that, the execution will be phenomenal.
It will. That will be a masterclass in tactics. Now, Mr. X100 chasing on to Carl Spina. Spina doing a good job of staying with that group, but now unable to stay in the pack of the rider. Mr. X100 coming past him there. You can just see those red flashes either side on that helmet as he makes his way up here. He'll try and get as close as he can to this chasing group. His teammate Pablo Popovic is in this chase group, and this is a dangerous rider to tow up to the top because we know he's got a phenomenal sprint, but it is a really consistent climb. You can see the odd bumps on the way up, but there are not a huge amount. The man who's leading them up in terms of chasing, Mikhail Kaminsky, is the rider now pushing on. Now, Kaminsky, he was 5th in the first of our qualifiers for April. Kaminsky was 7 seconds down on Turek. Importantly, Kaminsky was 1.5 seconds down on Jones. So at the moment, if the status quo is maintained, Ollie Jones will be moving into what would be the virtual overall leader for the month, and he'll be taking that way ahead. But we will see if that's going to be the case. Now, Emma, these riders on the climb in Category 1 are working fast. Do you think they're going to get back to Phil Graves and co? Because Category 2 is a battle. Kaplinsky and Graves up at the front, 14 seconds clear. That's going to push them on.
Well, it will push them on, and it's going to be really interesting. So let's take a look at this. Where are we? Ollie Jones now pushing on Noren into 34 kilometres into this race. Graves and Klipinski are 1.1 kilometre up the mountain in front of them. Now, that is strong climbing from those two. To be that far clear of Jones and Noren this early on the climb. But there is still, 13 kilometres to go?
10.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. 11.
Okay, 10 for Category 2 and 11 for Category 1.
Okay, there we go.
Is that my one maths win for the entire year?
Oh, yeah. I'd forgotten what I'd seen. Okay, look at that. I'm holding my hands up. I forgot what I had just seen on the screen in terms of numbers.
Okay, the statistician, Professor Emma Martin, has admitted that it'll be the only time this season until we get round to this time next year where I actually managed to get the maths right, or better, should I say. Now, Jones and Noren together here on the front of Category 1. They're coming up to Alejandro Largo. That's going to be the next rider they see in front. Every one of these riders like a breadcrumb in a Hansel and Gretel tale, making the way up to the top. They're going to have to see if they can pull past every single rider on the way up to the summit. There's a group, and then there's a big gap actually after the next group of riders. So Mendakowicz, Schoberg, Brito in front, but they are going to see these two leaders in Category 1 coming onto their heels, coming past, and it is not the sort of climb where it's easy to jump on board.
Definitely not the sort of climb where it's easy to jump on board. And what is interesting is Vujjasin is the rider on the front of the chasing group, around 52 seconds back. So it is yo-yoing, and the reason it's yo-yoing, I'll let Matt explain because he explains this really well. So currently, Matt, on this climb, we're seeing the distance in terms of time fluctuate rapidly between 55 and 65 seconds. Why is that?
Okay, so time gaps. In the old school, if you remember when we used to do this outdoors, you would have to wait for a fixed point, pre-computers, pre-GPS, pre-esports. You would wait till there's a fixed point, and you'd say, Ollie Jones is coming into the turn. He's past the EV banner now. And then you start your clock. You'd have to wait till the chasers came, maybe a minute or so behind, and you go, right, the chasers are now passing it. Now that is 1 minute. It's not very instantaneous. It's not up to date because by then the leaders are even further up the road. How it works on esports and how it works generally in most racing now, time gaps are based on position and speed, and a calculation is made. So basically, if a rider is on a fast section, they will be at a different pace to the riders who are maybe on a steeper, slower section, and the difference between the two. That difference between the two is white yo-yos, because if a rider is on a slow section, they will be not moving as fast. If the chasers are on a fast section, they'll be closing the gap down, and it will yo-yo up and down, which is why we have to take a consistent gap or pick riders at the same time on the same slope, which is not all that easy. It's easier on a consistent one, but basically they're live. They're a calculation based on speed and position, not an actual time from position to position.
Oh, look at the size of this group in Category 2. Matt Abiko, who is on our screen at the moment, you can see the effort he's putting in to stay in this group, currently rolling at around 5.4 watts per kilo in the mix with this group in Category 2. This is the chase group. It's Phil Graves who is up the road, isn't it?
It is Graves, but he's not alone. And I think that is to his advantage in many ways because they're going to work with him. But I think this pack are going to close them down. They are coming at pace. Look at this. You've got Bjarhead, you've got Adelung, we've got Bengston. Just trying to read them as fast as I can. We've got Koistinen, Kaplinski. He's almost on the heels, but Graves, I think, is going to get pulled back. And I think that is going to be because the 12-second gap he's got at the moment might not be enough when we still got a considerable distance. I mean, the riders at the moment, they are approaching 37K. That means there's still 8K to the summit.
Yeah.
Graves is soloing at the moment, but that pack are moving quick. And the gradient, the other thing to remember, this gradient is not necessarily steep enough to go slow enough to not get draft.
Well,
draft here is important.
Draft is important, but I tell you what's important at the moment, and that's Lionel Vujjasin has indeed kicked on here on the climb. He's pushing on now at 6.6 watts per kilo. Safrazedi is trying to go with him. So is Kaminsky. 2 seconds back to those two riders. 3 seconds back to Panizza and Jacobs. So the push is now on, and it's Lionel Vujjasin from the Coalition AlphaJaw. There he is on the screen, dancing on his pedals, trying to go clear of the group behind.
And remember, Lionel Vujjasin, Michael Kaminsky, and Ollie Jones all riding for that Coalition AlphaJaw squad. So they are going to be looking to move up. Vujjasin finished ahead of Jones last week. If you could get back to Jones. That would be some going. We will see what's going to happen. Safrasedi has been riding really strong. He was out on the chain gang earlier on this week. So the group rider, really, really rapid one by according to his post on social media. If you want us to know what you're up to, we would love you to get in touch with us at Matt Fixpain or at Biking Emma. We give you a follow, promise. That's how it works. We follow you. It's really, really important. The more we follow you, the more chance that we have of knowing what you're getting up to as you get on there, and we can give you that encouragement. We can share that with people and publicise your victories. I mean, that's an amazing trophy cabinet.
It is a great trophy cabinet, isn't it? But what's amazing at the moment is Vyaznin's now put 7 seconds in on this group of 5 chases. So Safrasedi now kicking because he wants a bit of the action. Kaminsky's in that chase group with Jakobs behind. Safrasedi's kicked. Kaminsky's gone with him. He's marking. He is marking the groups to ensure that the action that takes place is what he wants to do. Look at that. Up and over the top of Safrasedi, and then he's come off the power. So he's gone from 7 watts per kilo to 2, just straight off to try and take the sting out of that attack.
And I tell you something, Safrasedi, you just see on his face the effort he was putting in there, and the result is a real fracturing of the riders. Arnie Jakobs there. Oh, he's that's got to be a grimace. He's really working hard at the moment to stay here with Michael Plantero. And Jakobs at the moment looking strong, but he's really grinding this kit. He does not want to let that wheel go. He doesn't want to let Plantero go up the road. He certainly doesn't want to let this gap at Kaminsky open anymore. Compare that to Michael Kaminsky. Look at him. He's out for a Sunday, right? He's a rider I would hate to race against. Do you know why? Because he never shows when he's
never
suffering.
Shows it in his face, does he?
No, he never looks like he's having a hard time.
No, you see, and those are the dangerous riders because you can't take a glimpse and see what your competition is doing and how they're feeling. But you know, it's only because they're in the Zoom room, you know, that our rather racers can see them, because normally on the Sunday Race Club you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. But wait till we go to the World Championships.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant.
So in-person World Championships on MyWhoosh. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be an absolute sellout. Now, a big selection. The various nations starting to put their qualifying criteria together for that. That's going to be coming up in October. Can't wait for that. One of the multiple sets of World Championships going to be bringing and putting worse to the action. I really can't wait for that because we're going to see everybody in action. They're going to be in the same place, same time. Michael Plantero. We just saw Arnie Jakobs, the man who he's riding with. Plantero absolutely drenched in sweat now as he makes his way up this time out of the saddle at the moment. And I think you can just see he knows that if he can stay with Jakobs, if Jakobs stays with him, they are going to be pushing themselves right up the standings here, right up in position. A great race at the moment from him. At the moment, though, they are giving away time to those riders in front. Kaminsky, Safrasedi, and Vyaznin 13 seconds up the road.
Well, what I really like about those rider cameras, Matt, is that you can see it doesn't matter which category of rider we are looking at. They are all working so hard.
100%. And that's the brilliant thing. Riders in the race, racing against riders. Fair racing against your peers. Always one of my long-term phrases I've used over the years.
Yeah, it just gets harder.
It does. The faster you go, it just go faster. It just gets. It doesn't get any easier. You just go faster.
Exactly.
I'm sure there was a very famous cannibal that said that once upon a time.
There probably was. Well, now we are coming towards the latter stages of the race today. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen our Category 4 group that are leading this. 5 riders in this leading group: Acker, Caro, Kalman, Abello and Gutierrez. Wow, that is one strong group. They are a minute clear of the leading group. Well, actually a minute clear of the chasing group, which contains Neville, Ross and Dadson and Newman, which is a class group of riders as well. So the Category 4 race looking really strong. They're coming up to 42 kilometres now, so 3K to go.
And Emma, in this group, I mean, we've got such a list of people who were there in qualifier number 1. Because we've got people like Acker, Bello, Caro up there. Montoya, possibly the man who is missing from the leading group at the moment. But It's similar names
So the
for a
Paso
very
Alto,
different.
the Paso Alto is not as steep as the Yebble
No,
Yates.
no,
You
it's
know,
not, is it? And that plays into it. Now we're just going to jump in with category 2. My predictions. I am available for lottery predictions, which are utterly rubbish because Phil Graves has been caught back. Those 12 seconds have been eliminated by this big chasing group behind,
well,
and that means that he now has to dig in deep. He has to show some proper Yorkshire grit and really grab hold of these jerseys because he's worked hard. He's now got caught. They have to try and drop him. They won't want to take him into that finish. Are they able to do it, or will Phil Grace be able to respond?
well, will he back up his birthday win last week?
Ooh.
Only time will tell in category 2. In category 1, Johan Noren is the rider we are in with at the moment, and Noren has attacked Jones. So Johan Noren puts the attack in. It's the blue socks versus the blue hat of Jones, and it's the socks that are doing the business at the moment. So Johan Noren, in fact, there he is on our screen at the moment, up and out of the saddle and digging in, the fan on hard. Noren pushing on, 10 seconds now clear and working his way up and utilising the other riders on the road to continue the catch. The Avatar moving and moving strongly. He's heading towards the final 5 kilometres of this race.
You can see him really working hard. He's got to wipe the sweat off his face there. Johan Noren looking incredibly strong on this ascent. The Swedish rider pushing his way up here. And wherever you are in the world, however you spell your cycling, it might be the Swedish CYKLING that you can see on the wall behind him. And on the camera, it might be a totally different spelling. But you know what? It spells suffering when you come to the Yebble Yates because this is a monumental climb. It's instrumental in the tour of the UAE in both the men's and the women's. It is an absolutely legendary climb. And at the moment, it is breaking riders all over its slopes. Say Safrazedi with Lionel Vajassin, with Michael Kaminsky together, 3 riders in yellow making the way through this mix. They have got riders just in front, they're catching, and at the moment, the category 2 and category 3 riders that they're coming up have no answer to this pace. So difficult to jump in with them. Ian McCarroll doing a good job from the United States to try and close them down, but they can see Ollie Jones. Ollie Jones knows he's got them immediately behind. 2 seconds at the moment, Emma, between Ollie Jones and the chasing group.
Wow.
Noren is left out front at 20 seconds, and that minute gap that they held over the aquarium climb, it has evaporated.
Well, we know there are strong climbers in the chasing group, and they've not been pushing as hard as the 2 out front now. Johan Noren on form after winning the Swedish Esports Championships earlier this year, showing us that form today. Still got around 20 seconds clear, but it's dangerous now because Vujassin, Jones and Kaminsky are all back together. The 3 coalition Alpha Jaw riders, this could be a dangerous group. I'm just taking a little look to see who else is in the mix, and it's Said Safrazedi. Now, these are so strong, these riders. Over the last few weeks, they have been in the top 5 regularly. They are on form, big style.
They are on form. They are going to be a difficult group to stay clear of at the moment. Noren at 20 seconds. It's yo-yoing up and down, but that is still not necessarily definitive because we have just less than 5K to go in our Category 1 race. In our Category 3 and 4 races, well, they are on those slopes at the moment. Category 3 at 42.9K. David Goodall leading that race at the moment, but with Peter Connell very close in attendance. In Category 4, bottom right-hand side of your screen, which is Kalman, Edouard Caro, Simon Acco, Jerry Bello, Jorge Gutierrez. So the riders that are in the mix, but there are 3 riders realistically, I think now, in with a chance with 1.4K to go, because at the moment, Caro, Kalman and Acker have a gap of 3 seconds to Abello, who is losing time. He's in the red zone. He's trying to come across the gap, but it is taking him a while, and that's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign at all. And now the decisive actions have been taken, I think, in these race fields. There's not much further to go. We are looking at less than 1.5 kilometres in category 2, and we're looking at around 1.8 kilometres in category 3. There is not a lot of time for anybody to now get into the mix. So Goddell and Connell fighting this out. Goodall took the win on the Yebble. Hafeet in the March final. Will he take the win on the Yebble? Yes. Well, Peter Connell is the rider who could make that happen or not for him today. But Goodall really wants this. He wants to take the double. He wants to take the Hafeet and the Yace. And that is all about how he rides the last 1.5 kilometres today.
Riders all over the slopes. The leaders in category 3 have 6 riders in front of them in category 4. That's soon to be 5 because Andrew Neville Ross is going to see an attacking Peter Connell go past him as Connell goes up at 5.7 watts per kilo. David Goodall now having to respond. The rider there, Connell, using what draft he could from Neville Ross as they came through to go past, but you can see the response has come. Goodall and Connell pretty much back together again, left-hand side of your screen. Further up the road, and not that much further up the road, this is Kalman, Acker, and Caro. They are the leading 3 riders. Your podium riders, if we had a top 3 podium, was going to come from here, but we're at 700 meters to go. Behind JD Abello and Jorge Gutierrez are going to be very close, but not close enough, I think, to trouble our leaders. This is about Kalman's kick. It's about Acker's climbing ability and Caro's courage. Who is going to make it? They're coming up to the polka dot banner that will signify the end of this climb, but it's still uphill to the finish. And that's going to be at our UCI banner. Under the Yebble Yace climb banner they go. And as they come up here, you can see Caro with the fastest time up there. Acker has the best combined point score. He's leading them out. So Acker in the polka dot with the shaven head. That is it's Kalman. And then Caro at the back with the white helmet.
Oh, these riders absolutely on their limit at the moment as Simon Acker pushes on with 400 metres to go. Just 400 metres left of the Yebble Yace. They're not going to see the finish line till they come around the corner, but Acker is the rider in 1. Kalman, the rider, responding in 2. Caro keeping a push on now, going up and past Kalman. So Caro and Kalman fighting it out behind. Can either of them get to Simon Acker? Acker is the rider in first place at the moment in that polka dot skin suit. Caro coming hard behind. Kalman now, well, he's been broken behind, and it looks like Simon Acker, he sees the UCI banner first. Simon Acker is going to take the win in the category 4 race. He's broken free from the group. Simon Acker takes the win.
So qualifier number 2, Acker takes that on the front there from Caro. It's going to be Kalman in 3rd place. So Acker, Caro, Kalman are going to be your top 3 here today. Behind, though, this is the run up in towards the finish here. Peter Connell attacked David Goodall. He's got 7 seconds. Has he gone too early? He's going through the polka dot banner. This could be a very long and painful run for the line, but I'm not sure Goodall has got anything left.
No, I think this is it. I think Peter Connell has done the business. He's wearing the polka dot skin suit. He went up the Yebble Yace the quickest in category 3. David Goodall, well, now look at that gap. I don't think that's closable at this point in time. I think this is going to be Connell's race.
So Simon Acker made it 2 out of 2. Well, we see a word here for Peter Connell. It's going to be the run to line. He's got to try and keep pushing. Goodall is not able to respond here. Great timing by Connell.
Connell sees the UCI banner. He sees the finish line today. He's going to take the win in the category 3 race. It's been a tough battle, but Connell comes out on top. So Peter Connell taking the win in Category 3. David Goodall is going to come through for second place. There's a battle going on behind because Taylor Gonsolin in third, Alessio Caligula in fourth, Ryan Giuliano in fifth. It's going to be a tight fight for those finishing places in Category 3.
And Category 3, the overall for the month could well be very, very tight between it. It could be that Gonsolin has got that. It's going to depend on time gaps. Make sure you jump on to that spreadsheet to have a little look at that. But look at this. Category 2 are absolutely motoring. So Category 1.
Category 1 looking like the group have caught Noren. So Vyasin and Safrazadi now with Johan Noren. Last time we were with him, he was clear around 20 seconds, but that chasing group now up on his wheels, and Kaminsky is there as well. So it looks as though Safrazadi, Vyasin, Noren and Kaminsky, the 4 riders now leading the Category 1 race. They've got a Biko, the Category 2 rider in the mix. Jones now 25 seconds back after that long breakaway, not able to stay with the pace of this group. The question is, can Noren stay with them to the finish?
It's a massive ask after such a long break, and we've seen a big kick move. Gone, it is Lando Vyasin who has kicked at the front. He's a man who has said he really wants the overall GC at the end of the month. He's already jumped on board the social media post, and look at this Vyasin's kick here. He is absolutely flying. He was second last week. Can he move up one spot on the podium? He's already got 5 seconds on Safrazadi and Kaminsky.
Well, this is a long run for the finish. Still 1,500 metres to go in Category 1. So Vyasin putting in a huge kick really early. Safrazadi, well, starting to respond behind, but mindful of the distance. Kaminsky needs to do nothing but sit on Safrazadi's wheel. Teammate of Vyasin, Noren, well, he is struggling to hang on to the back because of this early attack.
So Category 1 starting to look a little bit clearer if they can hold the pace as they are at the moment. Vyasin from Safrazadi, from Kaminsky, with Noren now distance. Category 2 are up the road. The leaders are not very far from our finishing line. It's Lyndon and Milostic who has got the gap at the moment. But behind, they are broken. They are damaged behind because Peter Milostic, I think, is going to be the nearest rider. It's going to be a Milostic of 1 and 2. But this is the run for the line. Anything can happen. Phil Graves, his legs have gone pop. He's not going to repeat the win, from last week.
Well, Lyndon Milostic is indeed one of our younger riders on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. He can look up now and see the polka dot banner signifying the end of the segment on the Jebel Yace, but it still climbs 500 metres to the finish. His gap now to Peter Milostic, 18 seconds, 20 seconds to Graves. A little bit further back is the rest of the field, while on the left-hand side of your screen, it's Vyasin still pushing on. He's got around 15 seconds on Safrazadi in 2. Kaminsky doing the marking absolutely on Safrazadi's wheel, not letting him go. I think we're going to look to see a Kaminsky-Safrazadi sprint for second place if Vyasin can hold that early sprint. Well, Milostic is indeed the rider in the polka dot skin suit now, signifying the fastest time in Category 2 up the Jebel Yace segment. It's got 300 metres till he sees the finish line, and he's 17 seconds clear of the chasing group behind. He's going to come up and round the bend and see the finish line not much further down the road. With 400 metres to go is indeed the Category 1 leader, Lionel Vyasin. I think Lyndon Milostic is going to finish this race before the Category 1 race gets complete. Well, it's been a phenomenal ride from Lyndon Milostic to go clear of the rest of the riders in the Category 2 chase. That's the MyWhoosh finish banner, and he does indeed take the win in Category 2.
Great riding by Linden to go clear of Peterman Lostich, and they are going to be on the way in. But this is the run for the line here by Lionel Vijasin in Category 1.
His teammate was part and parcel of that early breakaway, but the breakaway got reeled in, and Vijasin attacked with 1,500 metres to go. He goes under the UCI banner first, taking the win in the Category 1 race. Well, the chase is on behind for second, and it's his teammate Michael Kaminsky who has kicked away from side Safra Zaidi to take second place. Safra Zaidi will take third. Johan Noren, long-time partner of the leader, may well finish in the top 5. I think he's going to do it. He's going to finish just before Ollie Jones, though. Jones digging hard behind to try and catch him. Not going to make it. Jones is going to have to be happy with 6th place today because Noren is going to take 5th.
Some amazing riders. These riders continue to come into the line. Kaplinsky ahead of Yakos, just gets rolled on the line. The Category 1 rider. Good riding today by Michael Plantero on this long climb of the Yabble Yace. 13.5k of climbing, followed by another 500 metres to continue between the polka dot banner and the finishing line here today. Michael Plantero comes in and over the line in Category 1. It's a real who's who at the front of the race here today, as the slopes here have delivered result after result. So the top riders here in the Category 1 competition. Lionel Vujastin of Coalition Alpha Joe taking the win from his teammate by 8.31 seconds. Michael Kaminsky coming in second place. Say Safra Zaidi comes in third place, 23.7 seconds down. They climb on the way into the finish, a tough one and one that has shed riders. We just watched Mr. X100 now coming into those final few hundred meters ahead of Cameron Coburn. Coburn, the rider behind, 23 seconds down in Category 1. The rider shadowing him is Paolo Cusimano.
Oh, is he going to try and give him a punch towards the line?
I think he might have done, but I tell you something, that is a tough ass to do. He took a little bit of a breather. Now he sees the gantry. Are we going to see a sprint between Paolo Cusimano and Mr. X100? They are proud riders. They want to make this to the line. They're going to keep the time gaps down because remember, all the time gaps count in the overall monthly unofficial score. Mr. X100 comes in and over the line. He is going to come in 8th position. Don't forget all of the results available on www.mywhoosh.com/results.
Yeah.
So fantastic right there. Vujassin, Kaminsky, Safra Zaidi, Noren and Jones, your top 5. You've got Jakobs, Plantero, Mr. X100 taking us down to 8th. Cameron Coburn coming across in 9th place.
And second, Category 2, Millerstick, Graves and Koinsinen. Category 3, Connell, Goodall and Gonsolin. And in Category 4, Acker, Caro and Kalman.
So great racing. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, to Twitch TV for the full series of races. Don't forget, of course, we're here every week. My name is Mark Payne. I'm here in the studio with Emma Martin. Jump onto the social media links you see on your screen if you want to click through the link in the bio to the GC results. Can't wait till they're updated. We will be back, in fact, on Saturday on the screens with commentary. That is going to be the XCE of the UCI World Cup XCE on the City Mountain Bike YouTube channel. And we're going to be back, of course, on Sunday for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. An absolute pleasure putting words to action. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's shows. We will be back. Emma, you can get on the bike in between now and then?
Oh, I am indeed. In fact, I'm toying with going out this afternoon.
Wherever you are, however you are riding, whatever discipline it is, from cycle ball through to the road to esports, to track cycling, to mountain biking, to unicycling, please do let us know. Send the pictures through. We always love to know what you're getting up to. But from Emma, from myself, and from all of the team at MyWhoosh, great to see you. Stay safe. Eid Mubarak.